Hiya Peter, lovely to meet up with you and do some work on your game at the range. Like I said, really nice to work with someone who's as keen and as passionate about golf as yourself, and some good progress made during the session as well. I can empathise a lot with the trials and tribulations that you've experienced, because I've gone through the exact same ones myself, and only come out of them recently. So I can guarantee that this process that you're going through will work, and I think you saw that during the course of the lesson. Tendency to release the golf club definitely needs to be reduced. The reason we want to release the golf club is because the plane is shifted so far to the right during the backswing. So if we take a little look at the start of your session, sorry about the sun here in the back, bit of a unique problem in light of the summer we've had, but you can still see the footage relatively clearly anyway. Start of the session, both feet turned in pretty square, weight 50-50, right shoulder a lot lower than the left, quite a lot of right tilt at setup, and then really that sort of right tilt and that forward bend is maintained during the backswing, and as a result what we see is a player who moves down and to the right during the backswing. So the forward bend is being maintained, the right hip is lower than the left, so there's no standing up during that golf swing. So the extension in the golf swing, we talked about the three components of a centered turn. If we can make a centered turn, we can control the low point and the path of the club much better. A player who moves down and to the right, if he then slides the hips properly during the downswing, will hit the biggest pushes and hooks, which is something you've experienced. Over a period of weeks of hitting the push and the hook, you can see that the hip slide has started to diminish. The left knee doesn't really get out in front of the left ankle, just really in an attempt to prevent the push. And the problem with that is we now get the pull or the snap hook. So down and to the right, forward bend being maintained too long, centre of the shoulder turn moving too much behind the golf ball is the key problem. So the positions, maybe the angles that we're looking to improve, would be those two there. So the key thoughts initially were to flare the feet out a little bit more, to position the weight more on the left side so that the centre of the shoulder turn is a little bit more forward in the stance. As a result, the shoulders have now levelled up a little bit, and if anything, we've now got just a touch of side bend to the right as opposed to excessive side bend to the right that we're seeing here. Let's take that one back to the top. Key thought here now was to get the left shoulder to work down. So weight forward, feet out, left shoulder down. Path of the left shoulder down, stabilise the axis a touch during the early part of the backswing, and we put that box around the head. We're now seeing a player who doesn't move down and to the right quite as much, still moves down and to the right. The centre of the shoulder turn now is a little bit more in the centre of the stance, and the amount of tilt away from the target, if you will, the amount of forward bend we have, has started to diminish a little bit as well. So again, just put those key positions on. Centre of the shoulder turn, amount of forward bend that's being maintained started to reduce a little bit. And then this is you towards the end of your session, where you're starting to warm to the task a little bit more, you're starting to get used to the terms that we're using. A centered shoulder turn is a composition of three core moves. A player is going to turn, he's going to stand up, then he's going to tilt to the left. The reason we don't see the standing up is because the left tilting is offsetting it, but it is in there. During the backswing now, left shoulder works down for longer, less of a move down and to the right. Centre of the shoulder turn much more towards the golf ball than it was, much more in the middle of your stance than it was, and the amount of forward bend that you've had maintained has started to begin relinquishing. The hips now, right hip a touch higher than the left, rather than left hip way higher than the right. So what I'm going to do now is get rid of these swings, all these images, and get the start of your session alongside the end of your session. But the clubs travel further. Feet out, weight forward. Left shoulder down, as opposed to left shoulder turning level. Left shoulder turning level pushes us off the golf ball. Much better. Much less forward bend maintained. So better extension of the right knee, better extension of the pelvis, better extension of the upper spine. From there now we can start to work in a linear manner a little bit more without the fear of hitting out at the ball excessively. Also much less of a closing of the club face on the way through. Much less forearm rotation. If you look at the orientation of that shaft compared to where it was at the start of the session, as you were trying to rescue the golf ball from being pushed way to the right. Much less forearm rotation. Much more solid looking golf swing. Good luck with it. Keep working the left shoulder down, keep the weight forward and keep stretching that spine off. Good luck with it, and I look forward to working with you again in a few weeks' time. Well done.